Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Before we start our lesson, we will begin with reciting surah. The first one will be Surah Al-Fatihah, Surah Taha ayat 1 hingga 5, Surah Al-Insyirah, Surah Al-Kafirun, and then Surah Al-Ikhlas by 3 times. After that, followed by selawat ke atas Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Kita niatkan selawat kita ni untuk memenuhi perintah Allah Subhanahu Wa Taala. Kita niatkan selawat kita ni untuk memenuhi hak Rasulullah Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. Kita niatkan selawat kita ni untuk mendapat syafaat Rasulullah Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam di akhirat kelak. Dan kita niatkan segala bacaan surah dan selawat kita ni untuk kedua orang tua, keluarga dan seluruh umat Muhammad Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. Kemudian doa sebelum belajar, semoga dengan usaha ini akan membantu pelajar agar mudah memahami dan dibukakan hati para pelajar untuk mencintai ilmu. Okay?
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم
الحمد لله رب العالمين الرحمن الرحيم مالك يوم الدين إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين اهدنا الصراط المستقيم صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم طه ما أنزلنا عليك القرآن لتشقى إلا تذكرة لمن يخشى تنزيلا ممن خلق الأرض والسماوات العلى الرحمن على العرش استوى. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم ألم نشرح لك صدرك ووضعنا عنك وزرك الذي أنقض ظهرك ورفعنا لك ذكرك فإن مع العسر يسرا إن مع العسر يسرا فإذا فرغت فانصب وإلى ربك فارغب. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم قل يا أيها الكافرون لا أعبد ما تعبدون ولا أنتم عابدون ما أعبد ولا أنا عابد ما عبدتم ولا أنتم عابدون ما أعبد لكم دينكم ولي دين. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم قل هو الله أحد الله الصمد لم يلد ولم يولد ولم يكن له كفوا أحد. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم قل هو الله أحد الله الصمد لم يلد ولم يولد ولم يكن له كفوا أحد. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم قل هو الله أحد الله الصمد لم يلد ولم يولد ولم يكن له كفوا أحد.
اللهم صل على محمد وعلى آل محمد 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 محمد اللهم صل على محمد وعلى آل 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 محمد
Doa sebelum belajar. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Allahumma aftah alaina hikmataka wanshur alaina min hazaini rahmatika ya arhamar rahimin. Ya Allah, bukakanlah ke atas kami hikmat-hikmat-Mu dan limpahilah ke atas kami khazanah rahmat-Mu, wahai yang maha pemurah lagi maha penyayang.
Rabbi shrah li sadri wa yassir li amri wahlul 'uqdatam min lisani yafqahu qawli. Ya Rabbku, lapangkanlah untukku dadaku dan mudahkanlah untukku urusanku, dan lepaskanlah kekakuan dari lidahku, supaya mereka mengerti perkataanku.
Amin.
Amin, 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 Ya Rabbal Alamin. In this session, we will discuss about topic ratio and proportion, and this will be the whole topic of ratio and proportion. So can you please get ready with your notes, page 30 until 38, and your worksheet, page 31 until 38. These will be the topics that we need to cover in this session. The first one, 1.4.1, definition of ratio and proportion. Next, 1.4.2, ratios in their simplest form. 1.4.3, divide a quantity into parts of a given ratio. 1.4.4, solve ratio and proportion problems. And the last one, 1.4.5, red. Now, let's begin with 1.4.1, definition of ratio and proportion. Learning objectives. At the end of the lesson, students should be able to first recognize proportionality and the relationship between ratio and proportion. And second one, determine whether or not two ratios are in proportion. Steps to success. The first one, define ratio and proportion. Second, find equivalent ratio. And the last one, prove the two ratios are proportional or not. Don't forget to copy this down in your notes. Okay, now, ratio is a comparison of two things. Ratio compares part to parts. Alright? And the keywords for ratio is comparing, comparison. Ratio can be written in several different ways. you can write ratio as fraction using the word to or with a colon. Okay, like in this second point, ways to write ratio of squares to triangles. So square is mentioned first, then triangle, correct? That means square will be your first quantity and triangle will be your second quantity. Okay, and how are we going to express this into fraction? Your numerator will be the first quantity and your denominator will be your second quantity. And if terbalik, it will be wrong. Alright? If you're using 2, the first need to mention will be the first quantity here. Before 2 will be the first quantity. Okay? So 3, 2, 6. 6 triangles, 3 squares. By using colon, ratio of squares to triangles, we write as 3, colon, and 6. Okay? And the next point, to find an equivalent or equal ratio, you can either multiply or divide each terms in the ratio by the same number but not 0. Okay? There is no such 0 in multiplication and divisions of value. Okay? If we simplifying the value, we don't use 0 anyway. Okay? So please take note with this one, okay? Two equivalent or equal ratio can be written in two ways, as two equal fraction like this, and here, if you simplify 6/12, you will get 3/6, correct? Right? And if you simplify it further, you will get 1 divided by 2, correct? And these are the equivalent ratio, okay? So to find equivalent ratio, it's either we multiply or we divide. If you want to get bigger value for the ratio, you multiply. If divide, the value will become smaller like this one. Alright? And by using colon, it is like this. Okay, so you must know how to write ratio. If the question asks you to express your answer in fraction, so use fraction. If the question asks you to express in ratio, and you need to use this colon. Okay, take note with that one. Okay, example 1. In this example 1, we have 4 questions. And since you already learned this ratio during your primary level, so I will ask you to try first. I will give you 1 minute to try. Okay, now for part A, you need to complete the ratio table. So here we have 3 to 5. And next we have 6 to 10. And now you have missing here how to get the value here. Okay, and mind you that 3 to 5 is our key ratio. So we refer to this one. How are you going to get 25? So how? 5 times with 5, correct? So if you multiply 5 in this side, so the next side also you need to multiply by 5. Therefore, 3 times 5 will give you 15. And the next one, here we have 30. How to get 30? You multiply by 10. So if you multiply 10 here, Therefore, the next one, the second quantity here, you also need to multiply by 10 and you will get 50. The last one, how are you going to get 60 here? You multiply 5 with 12. So 5 times 12 is 60. Therefore, the quantity here you also need to multiply by 12 and the answer is 36, right? And for part B, are the ratio 1 to 2 and 3 to 6 equivalent? Ratio will be equivalent if they have same ratio. Okay? Now, how to try the ratio to be equal or not? You try to simplify this ratio. Okay? When you simplify the ratio, you will get 1 to 2, correct? So 1 to 2 is equal to the ratio here. Therefore, they are equivalent. And the answer is yes. For part C, find the missing number in each of the following equivalent ratio. So 4 to 3 equal to, I start with D first lah. Okay, I start with D first. And here, are this ratio equivalent? Same method, you express this information into ratio. So bags will be your first quantity versus will be your second quantity. So 4 to 8 and then 5 bags to 10 versus, and we have another ratio here. And how are we going to know that they are equivalent? You try to simplify the ratio. Okay, you try to simplify the ratio, and for 4 to 8 I divide by 4 and I will get 1 to 2. And 5 to 10, I will divide by 5 and I will get 1 to 2. Are they equal? Yes. Therefore, are this ratio equivalent? And the answer is yes. Okay. Next, find the missing number in each of the following equivalent ratio. So, how to get 20? How to get this 20? You multiply by 5, right? So the next one also you need to multiply by 5 and the answer is 15. And here, how to get 2? You divide by 14. And the next quantity also you need to divide by 14 and the answer is 1. Okay, as simple as this. So just be careful with your simplification in exam. Now, proportion. Proportion compares parts to whole. Proportion is two equivalent or equal ratio. We can say that the ratio are proportion if they are equal. Okay, if they are equal, just like that. Proportion can be expressed in each of the following forms. The first one in terms of ratio, in terms of fraction, in terms of rate, in terms of percentage, and it depends on the questions. If the question asks you to give the answer in ratio, just put ratio. If the question asks you in fraction, put in fraction. Okay? And in this example 2, do the ratios 3 to 2 and 9 to 6 form a proportion. Okay, now, how we know that they are proportion? If we use cross multiplication, put the first fraction on your left hand side, put equal sign, and put the next fraction on your right hand side. Okay, and this method we call it cross multiplication. Alright, that means 3 times with 6 and 2 times with 9. 3 times 6 will give you 18 and 2 times 9 will give you also 18. Are they equal? Yes. Therefore, when both of them are equal, we can say that both of these ratio are proportional. Okay? As simple as that. So just be careful. Next, example 3 are 1 to 2 and 5 to 10 in proportion. Show your workings. And here I want you to use cross multiplication, and you can follow the steps in previous example, and I will give you 1 minute to try. Okay, now I will put this ratio into fraction. So 1 to 2. Remember, the numerator will always the first quantity and the denominator will be the second quantity. Okay, and then using cross multiplication, 2 times 5, 1 times 10, and both of sides will have equal 10. And if you have both sides equal 10, that means 1 to 2, this ratio 1 to 2 and 5 to 10 are proportional. Okay, if these questions come out in exam and try to prove they are proportional by doing the working as explained in this notes. Okay, next example 4 are 4 to 3 and 16 to 13 in proportion. Show your working. Alright, now still here I will expose with you the usage of cross multiplication. Cross multiplication is very important. You can use this method until you in O level. So make sure you understand how to use cross multiplication. Okay, and I will express this ratio in terms of fraction. On my left hand side will be 4 to 3, and on my right hand side will be 16 to 13. And cross multiplication, right? Cross multiplication, and I will get 4 times 13, and the other side will be 3 times 16. When we multiply 4 times 13, you will get 52. And when we multiply 3 times 16, you will get 48. Do you think both of these answers are equal? No, right? So they are not equal. Therefore, we don't use equal sign. We use this sign. Okay? How to do like this? You do your equal sign like this and then slash like that. And this sign means not equal to. Okay? Not equal. And give your final answer. Your final answer, both sides are not equal. Therefore, the ratios 4 to 3, ratios 4 to 3 and 16 to 13 are not proportional. Okay? Now, let's move to 1.4.2, ratios in their simplest form. Learning objectives. At the end of the lesson, students should be able to express ratios of 2 or 3 quantities in their simplest form. Our steps to success, our S2S. The first one, simplify the ratio. Second one, express questions into ratio. And the last one, capable to convert the unit. To simplify a ratio means to reduce it to its simplest terms. Okay, so your task here, you need to you need to simplify the ratio. Okay, that is your task for the second subtopic. And here, in this example 5, the diagram shows 2 drinks and 6 burgers, right? And when we say that the ratio of the number of drinks to the number of burgers, that means drinks will be your first quantity, burgers will be your second quantity. First quantity you write here before the colon, okay? And if you express it into fraction, it will be the first quantity at your numerator and the second quantity will be at your denominator. And then when we simplify this fraction 2 to 6, okay, to 6, so it will become 1/3. And this is how you simplify the ratio, alright? Therefore, 2 to 6 equal to 1 to 3 in its simplest form. And we can say that 2 to 6 and 1 to 3 are equivalent ratio. Okay, example 6. Write each of the following ratios in its simplest form. So here we discuss part A first. We have 35 to 60 and I will give you 1 minute to try. Okay, now, right? And here I will use this method. Okay, and so far student feel this method also comfortable and easy to use. Alright, and here we simplify by finding the equivalent ratio. Okay, by doing this. Alright, so both sides I will divide by 5 and I will get 7 to 12. And this method, I call it equivalent method. Okay, and can we simplify further? No, right? So if no, therefore 7 to 12 will be your final answer. Next, part B, 2 to 0.8. And how are you going to solve these questions? How are you going to simplify this ratio? I will give you 1 minute to try. Okay. Here I will use fraction to solve to simplify this ratio. So 2 out of 0.8. Remember, the denominator is decimal. So if your denominator is decimal, you need to make it as 1 whole. So we move the point by 1 place. Therefore, we will get 20 out of 8. And then we simplify, you will get 5 to 2. Okay. And the question asks in terms of ratio. So you need to express this 5 to 2 in terms of colon like this. Okay. So 5 to 2. Next, part C. I give you 1 minute to try. Okay, now here I will use HTF to simplify the ratio. So just copy down the value, this one, into here. Okay, just copy exactly same like the questions. You don't need to change it into comma, and then you simplify. All right, I will use 3, then I will get 3 2 2 2 5. Can we simplify further? No. And if you use HCF, don't take this 3. For simplifying by using HCF, highest common factor, take this. Okay, for simplifying, take the numbers below. Okay, and your final answer will be 3 2 2 2 5. Okay. Okay, part D, you have both fraction. Okay, both quantities are fraction. You have half to 3/4. So how are you going to simplify this fraction? I will give you 1 minute to try. Okay, I will use this. Now, why divide? Why divide? When we make it into fraction, that means we have numerator and denominator, correct? So here we have half will be your numerator, and then 3/4 will be your denominator. If I write like this, it kind of confusing, correct? So instead of doing fraction like this, okay, I do like this using division, this one. Okay, clear? And then you can easily apply KCF, right? And you will get 2 to 3. Okay? And express this answer into ratio. When we express answer into ratio, that means we must have colon. You must have colon. The numerator will be your first quantity. That means the first one, and the second, the denominator will be your second quantity. All right. So 2 to 3. Next, example 7. Express the following as ratios in their simplest form. And here we discuss part A, 10 minutes to 1 hour. Alright, still with simplifications of ratio. But in this example 7, it involves unit. Okay, so you need to recall your conversion of unit. How are you going to answer this part A? I will give you 1 minute to try. Okay, the first step, you need to make sure the units are equal. And here I convert hour into minutes. So I have 60 minutes. And then express it in terms of ratio. And here I use colon. Alright, and then I'm using the equivalent method. And how to get 1 here? How to get 1 here? I divide by 10. Okay, and same goes to the other side. I need to divide by 10, and that is how I got 1 to 6. Okay, next part B, 8.5 gram to 3.5 gram. 1 minute to try. Okay, in these questions, I express it in terms of fractions so that it's easy for me to simplify. Okay, and remember, if the denominator is decimal, you one method is you need to move the point and make it one whole. Okay, so I will get 85 out of 35. You simplify and you should get 17 out of 7. And we cannot simplify further. Therefore, your final answer is 17 to 7. Next, part C, 8 days to 2 weeks. I give you 1 minute to try. Okay, now we have different unit here. The first quantity at days, the unit is days, and the second quantity the unit is weeks. So you need to convert either days or weeks to make them equal. And here I convert weeks into days. 2 weeks mean 14 days. Okay, so here I'm using HCl. So add to 14. Okay, add to 14 and then I simplify, then I got 4 to 7 and the final answer is 4 to 7. Next, part D, we have 1.02 liters to 0.74 liters. I give you 1 minute to try. Okay, now I will use fraction here. So I have 1.02 divided by 0.74 and the denominator is decimal. So move the decimal point to make it one whole and I got 102 divided by 74 and you simplify, then you should get 51 to 37, 51 out of 37 and we express it in ratio and you should get 51 to 37. Okay. Next, example 8. Daisy mix 50 milliliter of orange juice with 200 milliliter of water. Write down the ratio of orange juice to water. Give your answer in its simplest form. I give you 1 minute to try. Okay, now orange juice to water. Orange juice is 50 and water is 200. We can see here they have same unit, so we can directly simplify the ratio. Okay, so 50 to 200 and simplified I will get 1 to 4. Okay, and your final answer is 1 to 4. Next, example 9. Aidan, Billy, and Kyra share sweets in the ratio of their ages. Aidan is 12 years old, Billy is 9 years old, and Kyra is 3 years old. Write down the ratio of their ages. Give your answer in its simplest form. I give you 1 minute to try. Okay, now it's better for you to write down their names above the ratio to avoid mistake. Okay, I put A for Aiden, B for Billy, C for Kyra. So 12, 9, 3, and I simplify. I should get 4, 3, 1. Okay, therefore your final answer is 4, 2, 3, 2, 1. Next, we move to 1.4.3. Divide a quantity into parts of a given ratio. Learning objectives. At the end of the lesson, students should be able to divide a quantity into 2 or 3 parts in a given ratio. Steps to success. First, express questions into ratio form. And second, find missing value from the given ratio. Okay, here is example 10, and I want you to focus for these questions. Very important questions, always come out in exam. It's either in simplest way like this or in terms of word. So focus. Here you are given two ratio. This one will be your first group of ratio, and this one will be your second group of ratio. And then your question is, what is x to y to z? Okay, so by using both of this ratio, you need to find x, y, z. Okay, and how are we going to do this? You put the ratio first, and then you try to find out which quantity that we have in both of the ratio. Here we have x. Okay, so we have x in both of the ratio. Therefore, we need to make the x be equal. Okay, and the ratio here is 5 to 9, and here 3 to 4. And how to make this x equal? We try to find the multiples that we can find out in the multiplication of 5 and in the multiplications of 3. Okay, and here we have 15. Okay, 5 times 3 will give you 15. That means 3 times 5 we will get 15. And what about 9? 9 follow the multiplication here. You also need to multiply by 3, and the answer is 27. And here, this 4 you need to multiply by 5, and then you will get 20. Next, how are you going to find out the final answer? You already have 15 equal for this ratio and the second ratio, and x will be 15. Then for y, take this 27. For z, take this 20. And your final answer will be 15 to 27 to 20. Alright? These examples is very famous in exam, so make sure you understand. Next, example 11. Find the largest share when $650 is divided in the ratio 5 to 6 to 2. Like your PSR questions. So I give you 1 minute to try. Okay, from the ratio, you look for the big value, and the big value is 6. And we can use this method. Larger share will be 6, and how you got 13, we add all of them. So 5 plus 6 plus 2 will give you 13 times with 650, and you should get 300. And your answer is 300. Next, example 12. Three angles are in the ratio 2 to 3 to 5. The smallest angle is 50 degrees. Work out the sizes of the other two angles. So you need to find out the other two angles. I give you 1 minute to try. Okay, for ratio, if this kind of questions, I always use bar diagram. So I will express this ratio in terms of bar diagram like this. Okay, so 2, 3, and 5. And you must know how to use this bar diagram or box diagram. We call it box diagram also. And we need to make sure they are equal here, and each of the boxes are equal like this. Okay, and this one we call it box diagram or bar diagram. Then the smallest angle is 50, and the value for these two boxes is 50. So what will be the value for one box? The value for one box will be 25. How? 50 divided by 2, you will get 25. And once you got the value for one box, and the value for the other boxes are also 25. Alright? And one problem is solved. Then you need to find out the angle size for this box and the last box. This box, we have 75. How? 25 times 3 will give you 75. And the last box, we have 125. How? 25 times with 5. And the sizes of the other two angles are 75 and 125. Next, example 13. There are mathematics, science, and English books on a shelf. The ratio of the number of mathematics books to science books is 2 to 3, while the ratio of the number of science books to English books is 2 to 5. Find the ratio of the number of mathematics books to the number of English books. This question is like example 10. Okay, it's like example 10. So you can follow the step in example 10. I give you 1 minute to try. Okay, here we have two groups of ratio. Okay, and remember these two separate the first quantity with the second quantity. And here I will use M for maths, S for science, E for English. For the first group of ratio, we have 2 to 3. Okay, and the second one we have 2 to 5. Remember, if you encounter this type of question in exam, for both of these ratio, you try to find out which one is identical. Okay, so here S is identical. We have S both in the first group and the second group of ratio. And the next step, you must find out a value that you have in the multiplication of 3 and that you have in multiplication of 2. So here we have 6. 3 times 2 is 6 and 2 times 3 is 6. The partner here just follow this one. Times 2 and will give you 4 and times 3 will give you 15. And S will be 60, sorry, S will be 6 and your M will be 4 and your E will be 15. Find the ratio of the number of mathematics books to the number of English books. Okay, and we just need 2 here. Okay, maths and English, and the answer is 4 to 15. Okay, and don't forget to write down your final answer. The answer is 4 to 15. Next, example 14. A bar of chocolate weighs 450 grams. The bar has 3 sections with different flavors: vanilla, peanut, and almond in the ratio 2 to 3 to 4. Find the mass in grams of the vanilla section and the almond section. So, how are you going to do this? I give you 1 minute to try. You can use pencil to try, right? Okay, now for ratio, I will use box diagram or bar diagram. Alright, and make sure you draw in line for each of the boxes like this. Okay, vanilla is 2 box, peanut 3 box, and almond 4 box. Then a bar of chocolate weight 450 gram. That means this 450 gram will be the total for all of this flavor. Okay, total of this flavor, and if it is total, put it here. Okay, and then for this box diagram, we need to find the value for one box, correct? So the value for one box will be 450 divided by 9 boxes here. Okay, and we have 50. Once we have the value for one box, and it will be always equal for the other boxes. And then focus with vanilla section. So vanilla section we have 100, and focus with almond section is 200. Okay, and don't forget to write down your final answer. The answer is 100 and 200. As simple as that. Okay, so please make sure you try to understand this box diagram. It's very useful for ratio. Now let's discuss 1.4.4, solve ratio and proportion problems. Learning objectives. At the end of the lesson, students should be able to solve simple ratio and proportion problems using informal methods, including those involving scales on maps or diagram. Second one, explain scale drawing. Steps to success. First one, use the ratio given to solve the questions. Don't forget to copy this down in your notes. Second one, recall conversion unit of length. You really need the conversion unit of length for scale drawing. And the last one, identify map scale and solve the questions. Okay, example 15. There are 40 students in a class. The ratio of the number of boys to the total number of students in the class is 2 to 5. Find the number of boys and the number of girls in the class. I will let you to try these questions. I give you 1 minute. Okay, now boys will be 2 out of 5. So 2 out of 5 times with 40. 40 is the total students and the answer is 16. Okay, be careful. Here is the ratio of boy. Sorry. Here is the ratio for total, not the ratio for girls. So if the total here is 5, boys is 2, therefore girls will be 3. Okay, so girls 3 out of 5 times with 40 and the answer is 24. And don't forget to write down your final answer. Boys will be 16, girls will be 24. Next, example 16. The ratio of boys to girls in a school is 4 to 5. There are 220 boys, okay, in the school. How many students attend the school? So the question asks you the total students, all right? I give you 1 minute to try. Okay, now boys will be 4, okay, and girls will be 5, okay. And here I'm using box diagram, all right. And 220 is the total for boys, and you need to put the information here, okay. You need to put this 220 here because that is the value for boys, okay. And then from here, from this value 220, you can find the value for one box. How? 220 divided by 4 and you got 55. Okay, so if one box is 55, that means all of the boxes are 55. And then what will be the total for girls? Total for girls will be 275. And here the question asks you the total students. And here we need to add the total of boys and the total of girls. And the answer is 495. The final answer will be 495. Next, example 17. Zamri has some apples and bananas. The ratio of apples to bananas is 2 to 3. He has 14 apples. Work out how many bananas Zamri has. I give you 1 minute to try. Okay, now still here I will use box diagram. Okay, so apples 2 box, bananas 3 box, and 14 will be the value per apple. So put it 14, and then 14 divided by 2 box here will give you 7, correct? So once we know the value for one box, and it will be always equal to the other boxes, alright? And then work out how many bananas. So we calculate the total for bananas, and total for bananas is 21. How? 7 times 3 box, so 21, and your final answer is 21. Now, scale drawings. This scale drawing is very important. Always come out in exam. So focus and try to understand how to get the answers. And actually for this scale drawing, the concept still with the ratio. Okay, still with the ratio. But you need to make sure you know the map scale. And the second one, you really need to recall the conversions of length. Conversion of length is very important in these scale drawings. A scale drawing is a diagram or map model of an object that is too large or too small to draw. Okay, and these scale drawings always used by architect, okay, to draw the plane. Okay, so instead of measuring kilometer, measuring meter for the actual object, so we use this scale drawing to illustrate the actual object. Okay, and the scale is drawing length to actual length. Drawing length means on the map. Actual length means the actual situation. Okay, the actual measurements of a house, for example. Okay. Now, I got this idea from one of the students. Okay, from one of the students how he recognized, how he memorized the conversions of lengths. He used this phrase, Mickey Mouse cakap mau makan cat marble. So Mickey Mouse mean mm, cakap mau mean cm, makan mean m, cat marble will be km. Okay, this is how he memorized the conversions of length from the bigger value to the smallest value of length. Okay, and how we do this method? Okay, 1 kilometer here, 1 kilometer here will equal to 1,000 meter. Okay, and 1 kilometer here will equal to what? 100,000 centimeter. Just plus to 0 here. Okay, and 1 kilometer here equal to 1, and make sure we have 60 for millimeter. Okay, so this is how you memorize the conversion of length, and so far this phrase is very useful to help students. Okay, I got it from student and I deliver it to you as a student. So you can use this method to memorize the conversions of length. Mickey Mouse cakap mahu makan cake marble. Alright, as simple as that. Now, example 18a. The actual length of a road is 3.5 km. It is represented by a length of 7 cm on a map. What is the scale of this map? Alright. Now, actual means in our real life, our real situation. Map mean on the paper. Okay, on the drawing, on the plan. Okay, and then here we have kilometer and we have centimeter. And what is the scale of this map? Scale is the key in the calculation. Okay, scale is the key in a calculation, and here the scale is missing. Okay, and we write scale like this. Okay, I put it here. Map to dot dot here dot dot actual. Okay, and then for the scale, that means the key of the questions is missing. And for scale, map always 1. Okay, and then we just need to find this actual. If the scale is missing, you need to do like this. Right? Now, let us do the workings. And I always put map to actual, this word, every top of my calculation. Okay, map is on the plan, actual is in the real situation. So here on map we have 7 centimeter and actual length is 3.5 kilometer. For this kilometer you need to convert. Okay, you need to convert into centimeter. Therefore we have 350,000 centimeter and put it here. And then map, as I mentioned earlier, map always 1 here for scale. Okay, the scale is missing. So for map, it always 1. And then here you can focus with the actual. Alright. And for this working, I use cross multiplication so that I have 7x equal to 350,000. 7x, 7 times x, and 1 times 350,000. I will got this one. To find the unknown, you need to remove the value in front of it, even negative. Okay, even negative. So I remove by dividing both sides by 7. So we already move the 7 by cancel it out, and then on your right hand side, after cancelling the 7 become 1, 35 become 5, then your final answer is 50,000. But remember, the question asks you to find the scale. Therefore, this 50,000 is not your final answer. Your 50,000 is just the value for your actual here. So 50,000. And what will be the final answer? The final answer is 1 to 50,000. You need to write your final answer like this for finding the scale. Your final answer is 1 to 50,000. Next, what be on a certain map, 5 centimeter represent 20 kilometer. What is the scale of the map? So here, scale is missing. So you can follow the step in 18a and try to find the scale. Alright, I give you 1 minute to try. Okay, now follow the steps in 18A. So 1 kilometer equal to 100,000 centimeter. Just remember the number of zero. Okay, just remember the number of zero. For centimeter, you should have 50. Just remember that one. So 20 kilometer, 20. So count until 50. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So that will be another technique for you to memorize the conversions of length from kilometer to centimeter. And then 5 to 2, and we have 60. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And then map for scale, always 1. And here you focus with the actual cross multiplication. And then you got this. Always remove any value, even negative, in the unknown value side, which is x here. So you remove by dividing both sides by 5, and you should get x equal to 400,000. And it is not yet final because the question asks you about scale. Therefore, the final answer will be 1 to 400,000. Your final answer is 1 to 400,000. Next example, 18C. On a map, 1 centimeter represents 3 kilometers. So this one is the scale. Okay, this one is the scale that you find out in your 18A and 18B. But here the scale is given. The distance between two towns is 12 kilometers. The distance, that means this 12 kilometers is actual. Okay, the real one. On the map, what is the distance between the two towns? Now, I will put the name above every calculation. So map to actual. Here 1 to 300,000. Why 300,000? Because I already convert this 3 kilometer into centimeter. And 12 is real, so everything real you put under actual. Okay. And x is missing here. X is the map. Okay, the missing value that you need to find out. Now, I will use equivalent method to find out the missing value and how I got this value. So 300,000 times with 4. Okay, so I will get 1,200,000. Okay, 1,200,000. Make sure the zeros are complete. Okay, if here we multiply by 4, so the next side also we need to multiply by 4 and x equal to 4. Therefore, your final answer is 4. Next example, 18D. The scale of a map is 1 centimeter to 10,000 centimeter. If the distance on the map between the library and the school is 25 centimeter, find the actual distance in kilometer. Circle the keywords. So here map is 25 and scale is 1 to 10,000, and both of them are in centimeter already. So I give you 1 minute to try. Okay, now, so here X is missing, the actual is missing. On map is 25. Alright, so how I got 25? You multiply by 25, so the next also you need to multiply by 25. Therefore, X equal to 10,000 times 25, and the answer is 250,000 centimeter. Alright, and step 2, the question asks you to find out the actual distance in kilometer. So 250,000 divided by 100,000, and it is equal to 2.5 kilometer. Okay. Next topic will be topic 1.4.5, topic red. Red also related to ratio. Okay, ratio and proportion. So that is why red is included in this topic. Learning objectives. At the end of the lesson, students should be able to explain red as a comparison or ratio of two measurements with different units. S to S, the steps to success. The first one, express one quantity per unit of another quantity. Second one, extract important key questions from the given sentences. And the last one, solve the exchange rate. Some of the questions will be about exchange rates, so you need to know how to solve that kind of questions. Rate compares two quantities of different kinds. It is usually expressed as one quantity per unit of another quantity. So here we focus with per unit, the value for one. Okay, so the value for one, that is the rate. Okay. Now, example 19. If Zainal types 1,800 words in 30 minutes, what is his typing rate in words per minute? So, per here means rate. Okay, the value for one. I give you 1 minute to try. Okay, now. So this question is just simply 1,800 divided by 30. Okay, like your previous PSR questions, correct? So the answer is 60. Next, example 20, the rates for taxi fare are shown below. $3 for the first kilometer, 20 cents for each subsequent kilometer. Carol traveled by taxi for 15 kilometers. Calculate his taxi fare. Now, this problem also very famous in exam, so be careful with every statement given. Okay, so your step 1 kilometer, the charge will be $3, correct? So 20 cents for each subsequent kilometer. That means here we live with 14 kilometer, correct? So 15 kilometer times with 20 cents to give you give you $2.80. Okay, and I always keep the cent like this, 0.20, so that you are not confused. Okay, and then step 2, you need to calculate Carol taxi fare. So $3 plus with $2.80, and the answer is $5.80. Now, example 21. The table shows the number of units of water, electricity, and gas that Haris used in a month. What was the total cost of utilities in a month? I give you 1 minute to try. Now, here will be the reds. Reds mean the value for 1. Okay, the value for 1. So it's just simply you multiply with the units, the usage of unit. So 40 times $1.17, you will get $46.80. 200 times 0.2049, and you got $40.98. 300 times 0.1691, you got $50.73, and you add them all, and it will be the answer. Okay, so $138.51, and please put plus here. Okay, please put plus here. All right. Now, example 22. Maya is paid 1,200 for working at a restaurant 8 hours a day, 5 days a week for 3 weeks. Calculate her weekly rate. So, Maya works for 3 weeks. Therefore, weekly rate will be 1,200 divided by 3, and the answer is 400 per week. Okay. Don't forget to write down the final answer, 400. And then daily rate. Daily rate, that means 1 week you have $400. Okay, so for daily rate, Maya work 5 days a week. So 400 divided by 5, and she was paid $80 per day. Then hourly rate, 80 divided by 8. Therefore, the final answer is $10 per day. And don't forget to write down the final answer, 10. Okay. Now, last examples before we stop. Okay, example 23. Which country sells the digital camera at a cheaper price, and by how much? Okay. Use the exchange rate. The exchange rate is given here. Okay. The exchange rate is given here, so use it. All right, and I will give you 1 minute to try. Now, okay. In Brunei, the cost will be $650. In London, it will be 380 pounds sterling. Okay, so to compare, we must have same unit, okay, same value. All right, so I will convert this pound sterling into Brunei dollar. So exchange rate here for 1 pound sterling will equal to Brunei dollar 1.8210, and 380 pound sterling equal to, and I put here X for missing value, a non-value, and cross multiplication X equal to 1.8210 times with 380, and the answer Brunei dollar $691.98. Okay, for this camera in London. All right, now, so which one is cheaper, Brunei or in London? The answer is Brunei. Okay, and then how are you going to find the difference? Difference equal to $691.98 minus 650, and the answer is $41.98. So the cheaper will be Brunei, and the difference will be $41.98. And this will be the last part in our session. And please complete your notes earlier before the class start, and you can proceed with your worksheets, silahkan. And we will end our session by reciting doa. Thank you so much, and Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Doa selepas belajar. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Allahumma inni astaudi'uka ma 'allamtani fardudhu ilayya inda hajati ilaihi wala tansani ya rabbal alamin. Ya Allah, sesungguhnya aku menitipkan padamu ilmu-ilmu yang telah engkau ajarkan kepadaku, dan kembalikanlah kepadaku sewaktu aku memerlukannya kembali. Dan janganlah engkau lupakan aku kepada ilmu itu, wahai Tuhan yang memiliki semesta alam. Amin.